Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Abubakar, and in this video we shall be solving the Cambridge International O Levels Education Physics 5054, the code number, question paper 11, paper 1, multiple choice questions only of the May-June 2021 session. So let's start our video. A list of various quantities is shown: acceleration, displacement, force, length, mass, and velocity. How many of these are vectors? So acceleration is a vector, displacement is a vector, force is a vector, length is not, similarly mass is not as well, and velocity is a vector. So four are vectors, so C is the right option. A student determines the circumference of a football. Which instrument gives a reading that is the circumference of the football? Caliper would not help because caliper has very small division and it is very small for measuring the circumference of a football. A micrometer screw gauge is even smaller than a caliper. A meter rule would not help us measure the circumference of the football. So C is also incorrect. A measuring tape is helpful, definitely. A measuring tape would help us to measure the circumference of the football. So yes, D is the right option. A train sets off from station at time t is equal to 0, so it starts journey from this point. The graph shows how the distance between the train and the station varies with the time. So it starts journey from here and then it ends its journey as start and ends its journey at this point. Which statement about the movement of the train between the time t1 and t2 is correct? So first of all, we figure if it is moving towards the station or away the station. Now the now this distance from the distance of the train from the station increases till there, and then it starts to decrease here. So it is moving towards the station, not away. Furthermore, between T1 and T2, it is moving towards the station. So A and C are incorrect. Whereas if we check the speed, here you can see the gradient is 0. The gradient is increasing between T1 and T2, and then it starts to fall at this point. Then it starts to fall at this particular point, whereas the gradient is increasing between T1 and T2. The gradient is increasing, and the gradient of the distance time graph gives us the speed. So speed is increasing, means D is the right option. A coin falls from rest through the air and eventually reaches a constant speed. There is resultant force acting on the coin due to the forces P and Q as shown in the diagram. What happens to the force P and what happens to the resultant force before the coin reaches the constant speed? So before it reaches the constant speed, the force P is the reaction force, I guess. Yes, it is. So unless it reaches a constant speed, the force P will continue to increase. The force speed will continue to increase. It will increase, whereas the acceleration or the change in speed would decrease. So the weight, so the mass of the weight remains the same. Suppose this. So force P increases, and if the force P increases, then definitely the resultant force will decrease here. So C is the right option. The resultant force decreases when the force P increases. C is the right answer. A satellite is shown moving around the Earth in a circular path at a constant speed. Which row shows the direction of the force on the satellite? So it is moving in a circular track, so always a centripetal force would act, which is always acting towards the center. So D is the right answer. So if you check 4 again, this coin is falling from the air to the ground. So the force P would first increase, but the resultant force is in this direction, is towards ground, towards the earth. So when this force P increase, the resultant force would ultimately decrease. So C is the right option, and similarly for 5D is the right option. Which row shows the mass and the weight of an object on the Earth's surface? On the Earth's surface. So weight is equal to mg, is equal to 10. So mass 2 into, no, A is incorrect, 2, this is also incorrect. C, 5 into 1, this is also incorrect. D is the right option, 5 into 10. So D is the right option. Water is added to a measuring cylinder containing 100 centimeter cube of liquid paraffin. The density of paraffin is 0.80 and that of water is 1 gram per centimeter cube. As water is added, the level of the paraffin rises to 170 centimeter cube. The paraffin and water do not mix. What finally is the total mass of the liquid in the measuring cylinder? So initially it contains 100 centimeter cube of liquid paraffin, and then the when water is added, the paraffin level rises to the 150 centimeter cube. So initially 0.8 into 100, it contains 80 gram of liquid paraffin and 150 centimeter cube. So that is 50 into 1. So, and 150 grams of water is added to paraffin. The level of the paraffin rises to 150 centimeter cube. So the total mass of the liquid in the Meying cylinder is 80 plus 50, 130 grams. So A is the right option. A horizontal beam is pivoted at X. A mass of 200 gram rests on the beam as shown. The center of the mass of the beam is 50 centimeter from the right hand end of the beam. So the beam is balanced. So this is a 200 gram here. So what is the mass of the beam? So as you can see in this diagram, the center of mass lies somewhere at this point. So it is, I call this W1. So this center of mass here is trying to produce a clockwise moment here, is trying to produce a clockwise moment. Whereas this whole part is this center of mass of this 200 kg, I call this W2, and this is trying to produce an anti-clockwise anti-clockwise movement here. So in this diagram, the sum of clockwise movements is equal to the sum of anti-clockwise movements. So that is weight clockwise moments is equal to anti-clockwise moments. So I simply put the values in here. The weight 1 into d1 is equal to weight 2 into d2. So as you can see in this right hand part, this part, the center of gravity of this beam is 10 centimeters from the pivot. So I put 10 here. And similarly, whereas I have to find weight 1, which is mg here, whereas for weight 2, similar for as weight 2, I put 200 into 10 here. I divide this by 1000 because I want to get the value in kilograms here. And d2 here is 20 centimeter again. So these two will cut these two will cut this. So if we check, I check this value. So that is 20 into 240, and I divide this mg by 10. So that is 0.4. So this is 4 here, actually not 0.4. And then I divide this mg is equal to 4, and then I divide this 4 by 10, that is 10 is the value of g. So that is 0.4 kg, and 0.4 kg here is equal to 400 grams. So C is the right option here. This is a tricky MCQ, or definitely an A star MCQ. Where on the graph is the limit of proportionality for an elastic solid? So I know how this graph works. At the till point P, the extension is in a regular way, but after point P, the extension starts to move towards the uh, initial starting point of the load. So the limit of proportionality here is marked by point P. So B at P is the right answer. A sealed gas contains a fixed mass of gas. The piston is moved and the volume of the gas doubles. The temperature of the gas does not change. What happens to the pressure of the gas? The pressure is inversely proportional to the volume. When the volume doubles, then pressure would reduce by 2. So we know this. So A, pressure will half. So A is the right answer. Which expression for pressure is correct? Pressure is force per unit area. So force per unit area, B is the right option. At depth D in seawater, the total pressure experienced by a diver is 2P, where P is the atmospheric pressure. At which depth is the pressure 4P? This is a tricky MCQ once again. At depth D, the total pressure is 2P, among which there is among which in these 2P, one is the atmospheric pressure. One is the atmospheric pressure. So when the pressure is 4P, what would be the depth? So in this pressure 4P, one would be the atmospheric pressure once again. So total of 3P, a 3P pressure would be exerted by a depth of 3D. At D, the sea pressure is 1D. So at 3D, the sea pressure would be 3P, and 3P plus 1 is equal to 4P. So C is the right option. The work done by a force on a body is calculated by multiplying F by a quantity Q. What is Q? So force is work is force multiply the distance traveled in the direction of the force. We know this. So A is the right answer. When it is not in the direction of the force, then we simply find the x component, Fs cos theta. So only A is the right option, all other are incorrect. We know this. Some solar panels have a total area of 12 meters square. Each 1 meter square of the panel receives 0.85 kg of energy from the sun in 1 second. The efficiency of the panels is 16%. How much power do they produce? So there are total of 12 meters square, and each meter square produces an energy of 0.85 kilojoules. So I will simply multiply 12 with 0.85 to find the total energy output of the panel. So 12 into 0.85, so that is 10.2 kilojoules per second. The efficiency of the panel is 16%. So I will multiply 0.16 with 10.2 kilojoules, 10.2, so that is 1.632. So that is 1.632 kilojoules would be the amount of energy produced by the solar panel having a total area of 12 meters squares. So A is the right answer, where the efficiency is 16%. A copper rod is heated at one end. Which statement describes how the energy transfer occurs in the copper? So the energetic copper molecules move from cooler end to the hotter end. No, the heat in metals is conducted because of the movement of the free electrons. Remember this. So both A and B are incorrect. And whereas the heat transfer occurs from a higher potential to the lower potential, from the hotter end to the cooler end. So yes, D is the right option. The diagram shows a clinical thermometer. Which factor affects the sensitivity of the thermometer? So the constriction, no, constriction does not affect its thermometer. The diameter of the bore, yes, it does affect the sensitivity of The diameter of the bore does affect the sensitivity of the thermometer. The length of the glass tube increases its range. The thickness of a glass tube, I'm not sure about this one. Yeah, but yes, the diameter of the bore, the diameter of this bore here, diameter increases the sensitivity of the thermometer. So B is the right option. Hmm. Which row is correct for a thermocouple thermometer? It measures very high temperatures. Yes, it is able to measure high temperature. And does it respond quickly to the temperature? Yes, we know this. That's simple memorization. Yes, so D is the right answer. What is the heat capacity of a body? The amount of thermal energy that can be absorbed by a body without melting. No, the amount of thermal energy required to raise the temperature of the body by 1 degree C. Amount of thermal energy, amount of Q required to raise the temperature of the body by 1 degree C. Yes, this can be true. The amount of thermal energy required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of a body by 1 degree C. So that is specific heat capacity. That is specific heat capacity SHC. Whereas the last one is the raised temperature of the 1 meter cube. No, this is on the basis of volume. So D is incorrect. C is about the specific heat capacity, whereas only B is the heat capacity, which is the amount of thermal energy required to raise the temperature of the body for increase with 1 Kelvin 1 degree C. So yes, B is the right option. Which statement about water is correct? At the boiling point, water vapors have the same kinetic energy as liquid water molecules. So at the boiling point, the water vapor molecules have the same kinetic energy as liquid water molecules. I'm not sure about this one here. Evaporation occurs only at the boiling point. No, evaporation can occur at all temperatures, which favor the rate of evaporation. So B is incorrect. Water molecules become heavier when water freezes. No, they become lighter. That's why the ice floats on water. So C is also incorrect. Water molecules lose all of their kinetic energy when water freezes. No, all of their kinetic energy would be lost at absolute zero, which is minus 273 degree minus 273 Kelvin, which is unachievable. We know this. That will be the time when all the kinetic energy of the water molecules would be lost. So D is also correct. We incorrect. We are only left with A. So yes, we can say that at the boiling point, water vapor molecules have the same kinetic energy as liquid water molecules. A water wave in a ripple tank refracts as it moves from deeper water to shallower water. It moves from deeper to shallower, so its speed decreases and its direction of travel changes. So what happens to the speed? The speed decreases. Yes. So it doesn't stay constant, doesn't increase. Whereas and to the frequency of the wave as it moves into the shallower water, the frequency would stay constant. Yes, the frequency would stay constant because frequency is only affected uh, by the number of vibrations produced per second. So A is the right options. So in the 21st MCQ, you can see that light refracts from liquid into the air as shown here. So liquid into the air. The refractive index for light moving from air to the liquid is 1.4. So what is the angle of incidence in the liquid? So for the angle, for we have been given the refractive index, which is 1.4. So for refractive index, we have the formula sine angle of refraction over sine angle of incidence. We all know this. So if I simply put the values here, so 1.4, I would put 1.4 here, and sine of angle of refraction here is sine 32 over sine of angle of incidence. We have sine of angle of incidence. So is sine 32 the right value? Sorry, there has been a little mistake. So I had to find the angle made with the normal here. If this is 32, the total should be 90. So this is 90 minus 32, that is 58. Yes, this is 58. So the angle of refraction is 58. It is not 32. It is 58. So if I simply take sine of 58, so that is 0.847, and I divide it by 1.4, which is equal to sine of angle of incidence. Then sine of angle of incidence is equal to 0.6057 sine of angle of incidence. Now I simply take sine. Uh, Now I simply take sine inverse 0.6057. So the value is 37.26. So that is 37 degrees. Yes. So B is the right option here. So in 22, a ray of red light in air enters a semicircular block. So a ray of red light enters a semicircular block, which row shows partial reflection and a refraction of the ray. So what is reflection? When the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of refraction. In A and B, the angle of incidence ain't equal to the angle of refraction, whereas as in C and D it is. Now the refraction of the ray, so it enters a denser medium, then it starts to move to a rarer medium. And when light is moving from denser to rarer medium, it bends away from normal. Yes. So in D, it is bending away from the normal. So D is the right option. Which statement about human vision is correct? In a normal eye, the image of on the retina is magnified and upright. No, the image is not magnified. In a long-sighted eye, the distant objects form images in the front of retina. In long-sighted eye, the distant objects form images in the front of retina. No, at the back of retina. So B is also incorrect. Short-sighted eyes produce only virtual images. No, they produce real images. A, B, and C are incorrect. Short sightedness is corrected by the use of a diverging lens by a concave lens. Yes, D is the right option. White light enters a prism and forms a spectrum. The ray in the air are labeled. So the white light is entering a prism here, and then it is refracted. Which row shows how the white light is dispersed by the prism? So in A and B, this white light goes straight through the prism and then starts to spread, which is incorrect. The light starts to refract as soon as it enters an object with different density. So A and B are incorrect. Among C and D, we know that white light is dispersed and into red and violet, and violet is the one which is refracted the most, and red is the one which is refracted the less. So yes, C is the right option. The sound from a ship is reflected by a cliff and echo is heard by a sailor on the ship 4 seconds after the sound is made. The speed of the sound in the air is 320 meters per second. How far from the cliff is the ship? So the echo is heard by the sailor on the ship 4 seconds after the sound is made. So a single distance would be covered in 2 seconds. The one-way distance would be covered in 2 seconds. And now we have to find the distance, which is velocity into time. 320 into 2, that is 640 meters. So B is the right option. Now the end X of a metal rod attracts the north pole of a compass needle. Which statement about the rod is correct? So end X is a metal rod, and the end X attracts the north pole of the compass needle. It is made of copper that is not initially magnetized. it is made of copper with the south pole at X. It is made of copper with south pole at X. So yes, B can be the right answer. It is made of steel that is not initially magnetized. It is made of steel which is not initially magnetized. So we have to reconsider our options. It is made of steel with the north pole at X. If it is a north pole, then it would not attract. So among B and C, someone has to be the right option. Now we have to find a substance which has a greater magnetic ability to attract other things. So steel, we know that steel is more magnetic than copper. Steel is more magnetic than copper. You can simply check this by using a bar magnet and some plates made of steel or some pieces of copper if there are any in your house, and then you can check the magnetic strength of steel and copper, and then you will definitely figure out that steel has greater magnetivity. So among B and C, it is made of steel that is not initially magnetized. So this steel is not initially magnetized, but when the compass needle is brought close to it, it is magnetized. So I would go with C. C is the right option here. The diagram shows the pattern and the direction of the electric field lines near a positive charge. So which diagram shows that these were introduced by the Michael Faraday, and this always goes from positive charge towards the outwards of the positive charge. C and D are the magnetic field lines, so A is the right option. A positively charged rod is held close to an insulated metal sphere. The sphere is earthed as shown. The earth connection is removed and then the rod is removed, which diagram shows the charges on the sphere after the rod is removed. So the positively charged rod is held close to an insulated metal sphere. The sphere is earth. So this positively charged rod is brought close to the metal sphere, and a negative charge would appear somewhat like this, and positive would be in this direction, but this positive would escape from this earth connection. So the earth connection is then removed and then the rod is removed as well, which diagram show the charges on the sphere after the rod is removed. So once that rod is removed, this charge will uniformly distribute because of the repulsion. So C is the right option. The diagram shows an electrostatic precipitator. It can be used to remove dust from air. What happens at a negative grade? So at the negative grade, the dust particles gain electrons. The dust particles become negatively charged. So that's why they would be attracted by the positive phase. So they would gain electrons here. Yes, they would gain electrons. A is the right answer. They would not gain protons. They would not lose electrons. They would not lose protons as well. If they lose protons, they would become ions. So we do not want ions. We do not want ions. We want electrons here, which are negatively charged, which are easily attracted to the positive plate. So A is the right answer. A 100-watt lamp is switched on for 5 hours each day for 3 weeks. The cost of 1 unit of electricity is $0.24. How much does it cost to run the lamp for this time? So this is a 100-watt lamp. So what is the power rating of this lamp? That is 100 over 1000, that is 0.1 kilowatt. To find the cost, we would simply multiply this with the time of use of this 100-watt lamp with the cost of electricity to find the total cost for this time. So there are it is done for 5 hours, and that for 3 weeks, it's 21 into 5, so that is 105, and then I would multiply it by 0.24. So the value which comes, if I put this into my own calculator, mm, so 0.1 into 105 into 0.24, so that is $2.52. So C is the right option. The information of on the back of an electric room heater is shown. What is a suitable fuse rating for this room heater? So there the amount of current passing through it is 4.2 amperes. So for a fuse, the rating of the fuse should definitely be greater than the amount of current passing ordinarily. So it would not be 4 amperes, it would not be 4.2, it would be 5 amperes. It would not also be much higher, like 13 amperes. So C is the right option. The diagram shows a horizontal rectangular wire coil WXYZ between the poles of a magnet. There is a current in the coil as in the direction shown. So which statement is correct here? So now we have to find the direction of force here. So I would say apply the left Fleming's left hand rule to find the direction of force in Z and Y. In this Z and Y, the current is in this direction, so put your on fingers and then check. The force would be outwards. The force would be outwards. If the force is outwards here, then it would definitely be inwards in the WX. So if the force is uh, now the current is moving in this direction, current is moving in ZY direction, the force is outward, so it would be upward in WX. The force, now am I applying that left hand rule right here, but in the in the side ZY, in the side ZY, there is actually an inward force. In the side ZY, there is actually not an inward but an outward force. An outward force is caused here, and in W, inside X and Y, inside X and Y, if I check here in the inside XY, it experiences an outward force. I'm not sure about this one. This is very tricky question here. Sorry, what should I do for this? So side WX experiences an upward force. So wait for some time. I would try to solve this here. Now, if I try to directly apply the Fleming's left hand rule to W and X, I would try to do this by method of elimination. If I check the Fleming left hand rule in the side W and X, so the current is in this direction, the current is in this direction, the magnetic force is in this direction, whereas then in this case the force will be upwards. The force will be upwards, yes. So I would go with A. A is the right answer, but I would want you to still solve this on your own because I'm not sure about this one myself. Which energy transfer takes place in an electric kettle? So chemical to electrical, no. Electrical to heat, yes. Heat is used for boiling tea. So B is the right answer. The diagram shows a current carrying conductor between the poles of a magnet. The force on the wire acts downward. Four changes are possible here. So the current is increased, the stronger magnet is used, the current is reversed, the poles exchange position. So which two changes made together keep the force acting downwards? So if the current is increased, it would act downwards, but if the current is reversed, then it would start to move upwards. So 1 and 3 is incorrect. When the stronger magnet is used, it would still move downwards, the force will act downwards, but when the current is reversed again, it would start to move upwards. So 2 and 3 is again a wrong pair. And if I check a stronger magnet is used, so it will again cause it to move in the force of downwards, but when the poles exchange position, it will again start to act upwards. So C is also incorrect. We are only left with D, and when the current is reversed in this direction and the poles do exchange position, the effect of force remains constant, but the force still acts downwards. So D is the right option. In an AC generator, a magnet rotates near a coil of wire. The induced EMF in the coil is displayed on an oscilloscope screen. So which trace is produced as the magnets slow down? So as the magnet would slow down, first of all, the frequency would decrease. It would not increase like as in A and C. The frequency would decrease, and similarly, the amplitude will also start to decrease on the oscilloscope screen. So D is the right answer. The amplitude would also decrease. So D is the right option. A student uses a transformer to light a filament lamp using a 230 is watt AC supply. This is a significant amount of voltage here. The lamp has a maximum voltage rating of 6 volts. So what happens when the circuit is switched on? So there are 300 turns here, and there are 230 watts here, and there are only 20 turns here. So means this side will have greater voltage, a very greater voltage. This is a step up transformer, whereas only this lamp has a rating of 6 volts. So as soon as the current is switched on, the lamp lights up brightly, and then it fuses, and then it blows up. So D is the right option. Which statement about the nuclear fusion is correct? Nuclear fusion occurs at low temperatures. No, it occurs at high temperatures. Nuclear fusion occurs only between the heavier nuclei. No, this is not true as well. Nuclear fusion occurs in the formation of many stars. Yes, this can be true. Like in the nuclear fusion also occurs in the sun's core. Nuclear fusion powers most electricity generating stations. No, nuclear fission powers that, not nuclear fusion. So D is also incorrect. C is the right answer. In a radioactive decay, radium 226 decays to radium 222 as shown. Which particles are also produced? So we know that radium and polonium are the helium nuclei. They emit helium nuclei. So an alpha particle only would be emitted in this case. So B is the right answer. The count rate from a radioactive source falls from 4,000 counts per minute to 500 counts per minute in 72 minutes. What is the half-life of the source? So the count rate falls from 4,000 to 500 counts. So that means that four half-lives, 1, 2, 3, and 4 half-lives have been passed, and in 72 minutes. So 72 over 4, the time of the half-life is 24 minutes. So D is the right answer. So which particles are found inside the nucleus of an atom? So suppose this is an atom, this is the nucleus contains the neutrons and the protons, and in the outer, in these shells, are the electrons. Suppose this is a hydrogen atom. So inside the nucleus only neutrons and protons are present. So D is the right answer. So that's all for our today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and press the bell icon for upcoming videos and past papers. Allah Hafiz. Goodbye.